Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Wisdom Wednesday. I am your host, Dorothy Dorton. I am AARP Alabama's Associate State Director of Outreach for Lower Alabama. As always, please feel free to ask any relevant questions in the comments, and we'll try to address each of those before the end of the broadcast. And also, any of the information that I give you, like websites and things like that, we will put those links in the comment section of the Facebook broadcast after the show. So I just want to let you know, if you don't catch a website or a phone number or something, don't worry. We'll have all of that information in the comment section on the Facebook page. So today I'm going to be giving you a quick update of all of our upcoming events. We've got some great stuff going on. And then I'm going to be very honored to welcome Bill Hawkins. He is our he's AARP Alabama's Associate State Director for Advocacy and Outreach. And he is going to be telling us about the new Fraud Watch Fridays coming up. So let's start with some vaccine update information. As always, you can go to aarp.org/AL vaccine to get the latest news on vaccinations. If you haven't heard, there are some Walmarts in the state and some CVSs that are now offering the vaccines for those who are eligible. So remember, the ones eligible are 65 plus and frontline workers like nurses and doctors and teachers, folks like that, paramedics. So, any of the latest news that you need for that vaccine information, please feel free to go to that website. In our last week's episode, we also talked about mental health and what the pandemic has been doing to everyone's mental health. And I wanted to put this hotline back up there. It's 1-888-442-1793. And that's a hotline you can call if you need some support, or you know someone who needs some support. If you're feeling depressed or down, which is completely reasonable after this crazy year we've had. So don't hesitate to reach out and find some help. Another resource is the mental health resources from the alabamafamilycentral.org. You can go there, put in your location, and find some mental health resources. So that's always a very important thing too. Again, that's a great resource to have. We were very lucky to have it in the state of Alabama. And finally, I do want to show the vaccine appointment line. So again, if you are in one of the eligible groups, you can call to get an appointment with the Alabama Department of Public Health. Now, there are some places that may not be offering appointments through the Alabama Department of Public Health, like Jefferson County and Mobile County, because their health departments are separate. But again, always refer back to aarp.org/AL vaccine to get the latest information on your area. And finally, finishing off vaccines, I want to talk about our vaccine telephone town halls. We've been holding these on a monthly basis, and they've been really, really informative. We've had several experts from the Alabama Department of Public Health, mental health resources, various folks that have been able to answer questions in real time. Our next one is March 16th. It's from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And the number is 888-485-5470. And you can call that number and listen in. It just sounds just like a radio broadcast, but you will also be able to ask questions in real time live to our panelists there. All right. So the next thing we're going to go over is mindful movement. And mindful movement is on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. And you can find it live on AARP Alabama's Facebook page and our YouTube channel. And this is a wonderful break for your day to just kind of stretch, get some exercise in. And all of it is from your chair. And it helps with balance. It helps, again, with strength and stretching and flexibility. And it's just a great time to take a break from whatever you're doing during the day and make sure you get that 30 minutes of exercise and activity in. And we have our great hosts for that. We have Jerry Haslam and Beth Impello. And Beth does yoga, and Jerry does strength training and balance and all sorts of different stuff. So we're very fortunate to have them. So please tune in on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Those are also recorded, so you can go back at any time and watch those. So we're very lucky to have that. Next, we're going to talk about our next What's Growing on March 22nd. It's at 10 a.m. and we're going to be talking about community gardens. We're going to talk about how Tarrant with Victory Teaching Farm got started making an urban farm, and share some ideas on, if you're interested in creating a community garden for your area, what you can do. This episode came straight from some of our viewers' questions and suggestions. So we're really excited to have this episode coming up next. And this afternoon, we want to make sure you join us for Art at the Armory. We are going to be making some spring felt designs, and you can see a picture of those right there, those adorable little eggs and the little chick. Those are so precious, and so I'm really excited to see that and see how to do that. So please join us. That's today, live on AARP Alabama's Facebook and YouTube pages. And if you happen to miss it today, don't worry. Again, it's going to be recorded. You can go back and look at it anytime. Now, for our next Wisdom Wednesday, we are going to be talking about our Alabama State Resource Workshops. These workshops are in partnership with the South Alabama Regional Planning Commission Area Agency on Aging. And this is a great opportunity for you to learn about free resources in the state of Alabama, free aging resources in the state of Alabama. Things like Alabama Cares Caregiver Respite Program, things like prescription assistance, Medicare assistance to help you choose which Medicare plan is best for you. We're going to be talking about Medicare waivers. We're going to be talking about what the ombudsmen do and how they advocate for those in long-term care facilities. So these are great free workshops. Registration will be required, and we will put those registration links up for you on our Facebook page as soon as we get them all together and made. So we're really excited about that, and we'll have more information on that at our next Wisdom Wednesday. So now I am very happy to bring in, again, Bill Hawkins, AARP Alabama's Associate State Director for Advocacy and Outreach. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Dorothy. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate you being here today. And it's really exciting because, you know, you've actually been on before, and we've talked about fraud and scams and things like that. And, you know, it's so prevalent, and there's always something new happening. Unfortunately, there's new frauds and scams being created, and especially around the pandemic and, you know, now that it's tax season. So you've come up with a great opportunity for people to learn on a biweekly basis called Fraud Watch Friday. Mm-hmm. And this is really in conjunction with what AARP does nationally, which is through their Fraud Watch Network. Yes. So Bill, could you tell us a little bit about the Fraud Watch Network in general?
You know, it's unfortunate that there's the need for the Fraud Watch Network, but fraud is around us everywhere. And one of the best things that AARP does as a service to its members and to the community is to educate people about fraud. And the purpose of Fraud Watch Network is to educate folks, to let them be able to spot and prevent a scam. They do it through a number of resources. There are articles that come out. There are weekly reminders that you can receive. There are programs such as Fraud Watch Friday that we'll be doing. But one of the greatest things, and this is a new thing, there's a phone number, and we'll put that up in a little while, that folks can call, and they can report fraud or ask questions about fraud. One of the additional tragedies of fraud is that when people fall prey to fraud, it diminishes them. They start to question their judgment and their confidence. So this is a great way for folks not only to report it, but to get the resources they need.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's such a great resource. And again, I've got that helpline up there now and that website. So you can call that number, go to that website anytime. You can report fraud, or like Bill said, if you think you've been a victim of fraud, call that number. They can help guide you to your next steps.
Yes.
What a great resource. So Bill, exactly, we know fraud is, as we like to say, we know fraud is bad. But really, how bad is fraud in the state of Alabama?
One of the things about fraud is that most of the time it's not reported. Folks either are ashamed or they don't realize they've been defrauded. But from 2019 to 2020, the reported frauds in Alabama doubled. That's billions of dollars. That's tens of thousands of people. And the sad thing is, Alabama nationwide, with the doubling, is about middle of the road. There are some states that it is quadrupled in the amount of frauds. And as you said, we jokingly say that fraud is bad, and we know that. But scamsters are criminals. They are trying to take your money. And the ways they do it are going to prey on your fears. The past year has been extraordinary in many ways, but the loneliness, the fear, the isolation that is brought have given scamsters an incredible opportunity to take from folks.
And it's terrible. You're right. It's that fear of not knowing what's going to happen, and you get a phone call or an email from somebody saying that they can get you in the front line of for the vaccines, or they've got special masks that will protect everybody, and it's just they're preying on that fear. They're preying on the loneliness.
The loneliness, and people want to believe what they want to believe. And if someone tells them something that they can help in something about which they're afraid, or to protect their family or whatever, they're just much more vulnerable. And it is tragic, but it happens a lot. I mentioned about the number that folks could call. We have volunteers who answer those calls and talk to folks. We had a lady last week who received a call, thought it was a scam call, and was going to hang up. The man was trying to sell her something. He began to cry and said, "I'm going to lose my job. Please help me." The woman gave her bank account number. She gave other information. She now has lost her. She's 86 years old. She's lost her life savings. She has $5 in the bank.
That's just horrible. Absolutely horrible.
And she knew, so that she knew it was wrong, and she let herself be persuaded. We call it go under the ether. Again, people are kind, people are gentle, and they want to believe and they want to trust.
And there are awful people out there preying on the goodness of others, and that's just terrible.
It's insidious what folks do.
Absolutely. And
it's hard for folks to understand, like me, because I can't understand how you could sleep at night. But these people sleep very well spending your money.
Exactly. And we do have a really quick question here that's a really great question. Ann Hales says, should I report fraud if I hear about it, but it didn't affect me? I continue to get scam calls and emails that look like they're legit, but they aren't.
Yeah, sure. Always report it, because scams are like gas. They expand to what's available. For example, in the Mobile area, there are a lot of scams related to weather issues when you have a natural disaster. The COVID scams that are coming now. And again, as they change, law enforcement and other folks need to be aware so they can start targeting this and work with it. As I said, right now there are, or you said, Dorothy, earlier, there are scams about taxes. There are scams about COVID. There are scams about vaccinations for COVID. And again, would those be as prevalent in other times of the year or in other years? No. So it's always going to be. At the holidays, there's a whole different, the Christmas holidays, there's a whole different amount of scams. So always report it, because what you can do is perhaps save someone else what's happening, or you can make them aware so they can protect themselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Bill, I'm so glad to have folks like you in the state of Alabama, in the community, that can really help educate us on these dangers and how to protect ourselves and our loved ones. And you're going a step further by starting your Fraud Watch Fridays
Oh,
this Friday. So can you tell us about Fraud Watch Fridays?
well, Dorothy, you and other members of staff have done such a great job with these programs, and I know it is a wonderful way to reach out to folks. So we're excited to be able to bring the fraud messages to folks starting this Friday, March 12th at noon. So you'll find us the same way you found this broadcast. Go to Facebook and click that you're interested, or tune in and watch us. Have the same format where you'll be able to ask questions. We're going to talk about tax fraud now because taxes are on everybody's mind. And believe me, criminals are looking at ways that they can take advantage of what you're thinking.
Absolutely. What a great, exciting
Mhm.
new event to have, Bill. And I understand you're going to have Monty Donaldson with the Better Business Bureau on for this one. And she's great. We've had her on Wisdom Wednesdays a couple of times before. So, really excited about that. And yeah, and so these will be every other Friday. Is that
Sure.
correct, Bill?
That's correct. That's correct.
Great. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, that's just so great, Bill. We really appreciate everything you're doing to
Mhm.
help educate and prevent fraud. And again, folks, I'm going to put this number back up here for you to report anything that you have seen or hear. You know, we always hear that if you see something, you know, say something. If you hear something, say something. This definitely goes for fraud and scams. You can never be too careful. You know, just make sure that if you do feel like you've been victimized or if you think something's a scam, it doesn't hurt to call this number. You know, if you're wrong, and that's great. But if you're right, then hopefully we're stopping a criminal. So, well, Bill, again, thanks so much for joining us. And we are going to be tuning in on Friday at noon to see you talk about tax fraud. And I imagine now, again, with the pandemic and the craziness of everything, that there's going to be new inventive ways to try to scam people out of their tax refunds. So please, 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 folks, stay tuned, watch in for that, and let us know. You know, you'll have a chance to ask your questions in the comments like always. So, Bill, I appreciate you being with me again today, and we will see you on Friday at noon.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Thanks, Bill. All right, folks. So that's going to be exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. So please tune in for that. Again, that is on Friday at noon on AARP Alabama's Facebook page and our YouTube page. There is an event on the Facebook page. So please click interested or going so you can get a reminder to tune into that. And as always, it will be like all of our other episodes, it will be recorded. So if you happen to miss it or you'd like to share it with someone later, you can do so. Again, next week's Wisdom Wednesday, March 17th, I am going to have Della Sanchez with the Area Agency on Aging for South Alabama. She's going to be on to discuss our upcoming state resource workshops. Keep an eye out on our AARP Alabama Facebook page because I will be having links to those workshops. You can sign up for all of them or just a few or whichever ones you want to sign up for. They'll start on March 18th. At 11 a.m. and they'll be every Thursday for 7 consecutive Thursdays. So we're really looking forward to that. And again, do not forget, Art at the Armory is this afternoon at 1 p.m. That's going to be really exciting and really fun. That's always a great time. Your host will be Ann Hales. She is AARP Alabama's state director associate state director for outreach for the River Region, Montgomery area. So again, thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Stay tuned for a quick recap video of everything we've talked about today. And we look forward to seeing you this afternoon for Art at the Armory.